what we see here in North America is that smaller brands, entrepreneurs that started small and have become huge. And that happens because there's a lot of support in the community here to help those brands grow. There's a lot of word of mouth that goes around. And word of mouth marketing is unfortunately, I don't feel like people rely on it as much anymore. Back when I was at university, word of mouth was really a big thing. It was an actual communication channel, right? Right. Considered it. Right now it's more like, oh, okay, what's our reputation online? Or is this going to get us more likes, engagements, views, all of that? But guys, word of mouth still matters. And I think there's a lot of it here. There's a lot of it here that's actually helping those small businesses grow. And that type of marketing is very much so prevalent in Canada, or at least for me, this is my North American experience is within Canada. So there's a lot of it that's prevalent in Canada. And it's what my mom used to tell me. She's like, I told her once, she's a stay-at-home mom. I was like, don't you get bored? Do you ever feel like you want to do something else? You're always taking care of us. You're always tired. She gives her all. And being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job. It's a full-time job that should definitely be paid for. So I asked her that, and I said, how? I mean, like, you're not paid for it. I feel like you're underappreciated. Do you ever get bored, upset, sad, frustrated with everything? She's like, no. Because always remember to do what you do with love and care. And when you put love and care in what you do, then you do it very well. And so you can take that from parents, you can take that from stay-at-home parents, and you can apply it to your work. It's so true. Do what you do with love and care.
In a world filled with possibilities, one truth stands out. Everyone is a pathfinder in their own journey. Whether it's charting new territories in leadership, embracing the future with technology, or nurturing humanity, pathfinders are everywhere. Pathfinders, a platform built for everyone. We believe in the power of connection, the spark of curiosity, and the potential to inspire. Here we bring people together, not just as professionals, but as dreamers, thinkers, and change makers. Through engaging podcasts, thought-provoking digital conferences, and dynamic audio roundtables, and many more, we create spaces for meaningful conversations. We celebrate those who seek to understand, innovate, and lead. People like you. Pathfinders inspires. Pathfinders embraces technology. And above all, Pathfinders spreads a vision where leadership, innovation, and humanity converge to shape a better and brighter future. We are here to connect, to build bridges that transcend barriers, to share stories that matter, and to foster a community driven by passion and purpose. Be a part of this journey. Be a Pathfinder. Welcome to Pathfinders. Hey everyone, welcome to Pathfinders. Today, I'd like to welcome you to an exciting episode on Pathfinders, where we venture into the dynamic world of international business development and marketing. Today, we have the honor of hosting Michelle Sami Wehbe. She's the Director of Business Development and Marketing at Fable Solutions. It would be an understatement to say that Michelle is a global marketing expert. She has with her career spanning the vibrant regions of the Middle East, the innovative hubs of China, the vast opportunities of Canada. Michelle is a marketing scholar, Michelle is not just a marketer, she's a marketing enthusiast and a specialist in consumer insights. With over a decade of experience in crafting strategies that don't just meet but exceed expectations. Her journey speaks to the power of understanding the heartbeat of different markets, of blending cultures into campaigns, and of turning insights into impactful business growth. I'm here just preparing you to be captivated by her journey, cultural adaptations, and the art of connecting with consumers across the globe. Today, we'll uncover how Michelle has not only navigated but thrived in these diverse landscapes of global marketing arena. Let us embark on this conversation together as we explore the intricacies of international marketing through the eyes of someone who has truly lived it. Michelle, welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Please, can you share a little bit more about yourself in your own words?
Thank you, Vijay. It was great. It's great to be here. What can I say? I've considered myself very lucky to have traveled and worked in so many different countries and to have worked with so many different cultures as well. I think it's a big blessing in disguise. When I was younger, my dad would keep moving us around every 3 years from one country to the other. I hated it. Every time he'd say, let's go, we're moving to this country. I'm like, oh no, not again. But now, I grew into it and I feel like this is something that I'm kind of used to, that I've adjusted to, and that I actually find to be a big blessing, a big advantage. So, cross-cultural marketing is a big deal, and often it's overlooked just because of the way marketing is, that people think that it's just one simple solution. And I find it very interesting and very exciting to kind of look at how different cultures require different marketing strategies, different marketing approaches.
Got it. Where did it all start, Michelle? Where you how was your early days? Even before you got into the marketing journey, which I can't wait to get into. Where did it all start? You were born in Canada, right? Or how did it all start?
Oh my gosh, it's a long story.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to get through your journey and this story. Absolutely, yeah.
I would love to share it. Okay, so yes, I was born in Canada. I was actually born in Nova Scotia, New Glasgow. And then a few years later, around 5 years later, we had left. And my dad's been in the oil and gas industry for as long as ever. And so the way it goes usually is every time a project's over, pack your bags up and you go to a new country. I appreciate my mom so much for this. She's dedicated her life to making sure that wherever my dad went, we went as well. So she was the one that she was the superhero behind this whole thing, moving us from country to country, making sure we're settled, making sure we're in good schools, that we can accustom to the new culture, that we get accustomed to new culture and adapt and everything. So it's been a big thing. So moving from Canada, we paused because I've got a Lebanese background, and I'm proud of my Lebanese roots. And my dad's always wanted to go back to Lebanon, no matter what. It's always the stop that he wanted to be at. And so we went to Lebanon after Canada for a year until he figured, let's explore Saudi Arabia. So we went and lived in Saudi Arabia for around 4 years. And then it was on. And then we moved back to Lebanon, back to Egypt, back to Qatar, back to Lebanon, and then back to Canada for me, because I wanted to go back and I wanted to settle. I wanted to do my university back in Canada. So
got it.
Lo and behold, I fall in love with a guy that's also in the oil and gas industry. And we get married and we're like, where should we start? I just finished my master's degree. I could literally start my career anywhere. And so he got an offer in China. And let's do this. Let's go to China.
Right.
So that's how I ended up in China, back to UAE for a little bit, and now back in Canada.
Wow.
Hopefully settled.
You and I, we have connected before. We've chatted about, but when I started looking, like I was mentioning, when I started looking your LinkedIn profile, oh my goodness, you spent a ton of time in the Middle East and China and back to Canada now. And oh my goodness, why marketing, Michelle? Even before getting into the marketing, what got you into the journey of marketing? Because of course, Dad is from an oil and gas background, and how did marketing play a role in grasping you towards that market?
Honestly, I became a marketer by accident. I
Mm,
did not choose to become a marketer. So that's the funny story. But now, if I would go back, I wouldn't have it any other way. I wanted to be in industrial design. I had I had originally applied to study that and to get in that domain, and then um, things happened, and there I found myself in Qatar, and I wanted to go to university that actually had something that was close to industrial design. And it turns out that, hey, marketing. My dad was like, "What do you
right,
think of marketing? It's the closest thing to something artsy, and maybe
right,
you'll enjoy it. And then you can transfer to Canada and finish off your education there. And marketing is a good degree, right?" And I was like,
right.
"Okay, I'll try marketing." And it was the best thing ever. I
And
mean,
when was this? This was
it's
like
insane.
2015, 2010, or
Oh, thank you for thinking I'm that young. But
no, no, no. I mean, I'm just trying to.
but no, it's okay.
Yeah,
No, it was back in 2006, actually.
2006. Okay, got it.
2006, yeah, yeah. So I had decided to go to university in Lebanon for a little while, uh, until um, until I was ready to move back to Canada on my own, and that's when the war happened, and that's why we had to move.
Mm,
We had to move away, and my dad was working Qatar then, so that's why I went there. That was in 2006. That's when I started my diploma in marketing.
got it.
And that degree is kind of a little bit more on the application side. So there was a lot of exposure to how companies actually did marketing rather than looking behind the book and learning the theory of marketing. It was more
Got it.
about, how do I apply it? How do I learn it in application? So
Got it. Got
that's
it.
where the excitement came from.
Yeah, yeah. No, I tell people when we start talking, it's like when you're having a coffee chat or like you're meeting someone at a restaurant or something. When the conversation it flows actually because like it is not an interview by any means. It is a conversation,
Yeah.
and I wanted to reflect like a mind map. Oh wow, okay, you were in Qatar and like, okay, yeah. So that's it's got to be that way pretty much, and if so,
Yeah.
please excuse me if I like go forward and then backwards and things like that. It
No
is because
worries.
it is because my brain is messed up and it's trying to like understand it all together and trying to. It's like the Lego pieces, you get the Christmas gift. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I found the missing puzzle, so I'm trying to like put it together. So that's where I come
No.
from.
Yeah.
All good.
All good. All
So
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you started with Qatar, right? That's where
Yeah.
the whole journey started. But before we get into the whole journey, like I'm sure like but there's a lot of like cultural differences between like working in the Middle East is very different than working in China than working
Absolutely.
in the West in Canada, right? So what were some
Absolutely.
like early like spot on differences like for anyone hearing? Oh yeah, yes, marketing needs to be done. It ought to be done. But like, what are the fundamental differences of like understanding these different markets?
Absolutely. I think the biggest eye opener for me, honestly, it was when we moved to China. I went to China, and I did the job hunting. I did everything. I tried so much to get into big and well known companies. You know, coming fresh out of my master's, thinking that that's where I'm going to start right now. Yes, I'm going to get a great offer with a company, with a a Fortune 500 company or something. But the thing is, it wasn't the way it was. And I found myself talking to business owners, to my husband's connections. They're the ones that helped me a lot because they were well advanced in their careers. And um, when I was talking to a business owner, and she said, "We're having a hard time getting expats to come to our club, our golf club." And
Got
I
it.
said, "Well, I understand that. That's fine. But why? Like,
Mm,
why are you having a hard time?" It's like, "I don't know. We're doing everything. We're communicating. We're putting out ads. We're talking about it. We're informing everyone." But then she shared the ads, the campaigns that she's done. She shared the whole way of her, actually how she approached it all. And it
right.
turned out that it wasn't targeted at all towards individuals that were expats, that probably didn't speak Mandarin, that and the time of day where she was advertising it was when everybody was actually at work. And you had to actually, the way it's done when you're an expat, for example, and that's a big thing, you had to reach out to the people at their jobs. It wasn't after work. It was during work, because that's the time where you can actually communicate with everybody. So the time you would communicate, the type of messaging you had to have in your advertisement, that mattered a lot. And I didn't know it mattered a lot until we tweaked a little bit in the messaging. And so we worked together and said, okay, distribute those flyers to them at work, right? Distribute the flyers during the day, not during, how do I say this? So not during like off hours, where everybody's just trying to connect and get together, So when we changed the timing, when we changed the messaging, when we changed the frequency as well of communicating this, that's when everything changed, right? That's when she started seeing more involvement from expat community. And she came back to me and she said, wow, it worked. I'm like, yeah, because it's true. It's true that different cultures require different types of communication strategies, right? And you have to keep that in mind. If you're targeting to people that are local to the Tianjin area, which is where I was in China, it's different than when you're targeting to people that are within Tianjin but are actually expats.
Yeah.
So that's how it all starts. And then when you come to the Middle East, and then you take a look at how companies have their marketing done, right? It's very aggressive. It's very administrative. It's aggressive but administrative. It's not very strategic, is what I've noticed. Because companies, there's a different feel in business in the Middle East. There's that feel of go, 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 get the money, grow, 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 grow.
Right.
As opposed when you come to Canada, for example, and then over here, everybody's chill, everybody's relaxed. I even had somebody call me aggressive once. I'm like, I'm not aggressive. I'm just used to go, 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 right? We got to get this going. No. We can chill. We can relax. People here like to be approached quietly, calmly, right? So there's a lot of differences in cultures. There's a lot of differences in the way businesses are run and the way that marketing departments are set up too. Right. From being a strategic marketing department, which I find Canada is great at doing, Canadian businesses are great doing, versus in the Middle East, which are fantastic. There are fantastic marketing departments there, but they're more geared towards get things done right now. There's no space for strategic thinking.
Got it. No, very, very interesting. Because the way the markets are different, the approach is different, and then the way people embrace brands are different, right? So you have to adapt to these different cultures and the nuances. I think nuances plays a key role in terms of like understanding, I think, culture. I think for, like you mentioned about the expat community in China, right? Who are you targeting? Yeah. Like, are you targeting, right? So the right people and things like that. Wow. Amazing. Okay. So take me back to your early days of like when you were starting with Qatar, and how was that journey like when you initially, I think Doha, right? So which Doha, and then how was that initial journey like? And because like you, did you grow up in Qatar? I don't think so, right?
No, I lived in Qatar for, I would say, 2 years. I lived in Qatar for 2 years. That's where I did my college degree. So that's where I started off with marketing. In Qatar, it was quite the exposure. I'm the type of person that always wants to be doing something. I can't sit still. So I would take an internship from here, an internship there, or just, and even like before you had to graduate, you had to complete kind of like I'm not sure what you would call it, but you had to complete an internship that was mandated by the college so that you could get your degree. So I got a lot of experience doing little jobs here and there in Qatar. So that's what. Mainly, it was more of a studying time.
Got it. I understand.
Complete education time.
Okay. My question is like, okay, so taking back from the across the experience, like the go kind of an approach from the Middle East versus Chinese and the Canadian. What are some common misconceptions about marketing? Does each market has its own misconception? Feel free to go about it. Like, talk to me about the misconceptions in marketing. If you want to go region wise, go for it.
Okay, so Let's talk about the biggest misconception. The biggest misconception, and I think I've already said it, is that every country has its same, every culture needs to be approached with the same type of messaging. Every culture needs to be approached with the same marketing and communication channels. Every country needs to have its, how do I say it? There's no uniform solution. I think people think this is what's trending in marketing right now, and this is how we see the bigger companies doing it. They forget to look at how are those bigger companies doing it in different countries.
Right.
Because oftentimes what we see on the media is mainly maybe what's being shown in the Western world. And that's the marketing that's visible. These are the trends that are visible to us all around the world. Right. And so we think, this is what's working there, so it's got to work in the Middle East. This is what's working in the Middle East, so it's got to work in North America or in Europe or wherever it is.
There's no one size fits all, right? Okay, got it.
There's no one size fits all. And then you have to be very wary of trends, right? You can't just follow a trend for the sake of it. Make sure that your target market, like where your target market is located and your target market, make sure that this trend speaks to them. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing, cross-culturally or even from one type of business to the other. Right. Is finding, is like you said, a one size fits all type of marketing approach.
Got it. Yeah. So I always had this question, not just being in business now, but even prior. Because every time we try to estimate the cost of building versus the cost of actually pushing the message, right? So we have to let people know that, hey, we offer this product or service to basically be able to interact with the customers that you want to interact with. The cost of building hasn't been that, it's actually much lower. Because time and time again, when we look at different startups and things like that, last 2.5 years, we've been engaged with like multiple startups, things like that. We've been looking at their pitch decks and things like that. The cost of like building has been actually much lower than we actually originally thought. Okay, we thought it's going to be a 200K, or it's even like probably 50%, even less than that, right? But the amount they are trying to spend in spreading the word, oh my goodness! Like, what do you have to say about that?
Oh, yeah. I think we see that quite often at Fabled too. We see that quite often where they come in and they're like, okay, we want to build the app. Well, that's great. It's amazing that you want to build the app and we can build the app for you. But then the biggest part of it is actually marketing the app to get it to bring in money, to make it profitable. And then when we say that, when we mention that, everybody gives us this look like, oh my God, we didn't think of that. That's true. Okay, maybe we don't want to do the app anymore altogether. So
of course,
there is that. Absolutely. There is the cost of the build. I'm not saying building an app is completely easy in comparison to marketing it. I think they both have their challenges, but I think oftentimes it's people or entrepreneurs or even businesses overlook the fact that, it costs a lot of money to market that application. Right. So yeah, there is that. You have to always take that into consideration.
Yeah.
How can I market it?
Correct. So is there because like there are different ways of systems and things like that. I've previously known from software or even other manufacturing, there are a lot of different processes. They call it the waterfall, the agile, and well, there's so many ton of processes that there are jargons around it. And basically it's like cutting down costs and trying a lean way of doing things, right?
Yes.
And when it comes to marketing, and I'm always like, right? You get my problem. So are there any like learned lessons in terms of like how we can cut down costs, but at the same time do an effective marketing campaign?
Absolutely.
Would you recommend anyone listening of some tips around that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's the one thing that I do. And I think I learned that when I was at university. I hated research. If there was ever an essay we needed to write, I hated it. And then when it came time to do my master's degree, I was like, I need to do something in marketing. I want to study marketing. They're like, well, no, you've got to do an MSc if you'd like. And that way you can learn more about marketing. It comes down to doing more research. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to suffocate. I can't do research. This story, after after I actually went in and did research and had to do it over and over again and figured out the power of research, I realized that, you know what? No, you have to do research. There's no way around it. And that is the biggest secret in having a successful marketing strategy and leading to a successful execution of the strategy as well, is do your research. That's the best way you can be lean in marketing. Because once you do your research, you do your market analysis, you do your competitor analysis, you do your SWOT analysis. We all know this, the SWOT, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Once we really, I know it sounds like a very, how do we say this? Like a very, it sounds very cliche, a SWOT analysis. It's actually very important to do that. The more research you do, the more knowledge and the more data you gain about the industry you're in, the market you're in, the less mistakes you make in the long run, and the better targeted your campaigns are, and the more integrated your communication is, because you'll start to understand the environment that your brand is in. You'll understand how to make the most use out of that environment without spending so much money. Because where's the money spent in marketing? The money that's wasted in marketing, at least that's in my opinion through the experience that I've had, is usually when people say, this has worked for them, it's got to work for me. Let's do it. Let's put all that money down. Let's do it. Or let's sponsor this event. Or let's get in on this exhibition. But wait a second. Have you done the research around it? Does it fit in with your brand, with your marketing strategy, with your goals as a business, not just the marketing goals, but all different departments of the company? Does it? If it doesn't, then stop, hold off. And then, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest way. Research.
Thanks for sharing that. I have one small story about marketing. I haven't I didn't get a chance to speak about marketing in particular in any format. There was this one experience that my friend and I, my co-founder, so we we wanted to create a platform for he loves homemade food because he likes restaurant food, he loves it, but at the same time he loves homemade food, right? So he likes it. So he said, VJ, there has to be a way to find homemade food, because when my parents are away, I'm not able to find homemade food, and I don't like cooking as well. So how can I do it? And it's very difficult to find people who actually do that. Every time I go there is apps like Uber Eats and things like that. Those are available for only restaurant foods, right?
Yes.
So we sat down. It was conversation on a weekend, and we said, we created a platform for homemade food. We called it nearesthomefood.com. At the time, it doesn't exist anymore, but we created it at the time, and we would actually just call NHF, Nearest Home Food, and all that. We had a lot of fun doing it. It was not now, it was 12, 13 years ago. We had a lot of fun doing it, and we created flyers and things like that. The best part was
a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, we would literally go out, stand in front of supermarkets, grocery store, and things like that, and hand out flyers, right, as marketing.
Brilliant.
Because it was 13 years ago. It was in Bangalore in India. It's they call it the mini Silicon Valley of India, whatever, because you have that. That's why all the tech hubs and all the big brands are there. So you're into that a semi startup kind of a culture early on in the phase. So we had that courage to go and try it, actually. So we would have spent an entire few days building that flyer and everything, and people would see it and actually just crush it and throw it right in front of us. That is a very humbling experience. Humbling experience.
Oh, no.
I was telling my friend, Praveen, we never thought of this. So we thought people are going to look at it and instantly sign up, and it never works like that. It doesn't work like that. And but it was very humbling. But at the same time, today when I go and look at a Google ad, or there's a billboard on the highway, people ignoring it, it's exactly the same thing, because someone
Absolutely.
has put the money and the dollar and the effort to basically put that campaign on the billboard or on Google. Otherwise, it's very similar, right? It's crushing a paper, and it's very similar. I think there's a way that, because today what I'm observing, Michelle, is I don't hesitate talking about it, is the traditional cold calling doesn't work as much. The email marketing or the cold emails, I ignore at least like 500 emails a day, or I'm sure like at least 100 to 200 emails a day. I don't even look at it. Yeah. It's same thing. I don't pick calls from people unless I know the person, right? They have to be in the contact. Always they have sent a text. Okay, I'm going to call you at this time. Then I know he's calling or she's calling. So there's a lot of like throwing the paper moment that's happening every day. And then I'm always looking at like how can like research is a great point that you mentioned, and then I think people are definitely finding better ways to actually get the message across. And I'm sure like that has to be an optimized way of doing it. What do you say about that?
So, like one thing I do want to say though, you know how you stood in front of the grocery store to do it?
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant that you chose the grocery stores because that's where people would go to get the ingredients to make homemade food, right? So I thought that was brilliant. That was brilliant placement. So I think, I don't know how to say this. You have to stay true to your brand. You have to stay true to putting the effort in to make things work.
Right.
That whole people are so involved when they're in their business, and it's rightly so. They're so involved with the operations side in terms of making sure there's enough products to sell if they're selling a product, or making sure the service is just right so they could provide that service, making sure, I don't know, they've got enough stock, inventory, they've got the right people in terms of HR, you've got the finance departments, you've got the law, the legal, maybe sometimes. There's so many aspects to a business, right? And I think that in order for you to actually do the right thing, or to not fall victim of cold calling and mass emails. In order to do that, you do have to understand your target market. You also have to understand all those other departments and see how are they working together. So if the customer experience could be understood in each and every single department, right? And when you go and spend time in every single department and learn about how they do things, how they interact with the customer, right? When you learn about, I mean, even in terms of finance, right? There's still a type of customer experience that they're delivering. There's still something that they're doing there. HR as well, because they're at the end of the day, they're taking care of the people that are delivering the service, the product, or whatever it is. You have to understand every department. You have to understand that there's a lot of work to set up every department. It's the same for marketing as well. We've said it before, there's no one size fits all, but there's also no quick solution. There's no quick fix.
Of course, it's not.
There's no Band-Aid. I don't believe that there's a Band-Aid in marketing. Sometimes there are times maybe cold calling will work. There is a time where mass emailing might work, right? There is a time. I mean, take a look at the emails you would get from let's say Gap or Polo or something like that. Let's take a look at these.
That's a Black Friday offer. Yeah,
okay, we're opening it, right? Yeah. We're opening it because it's the right time to open it, because people are thinking, okay, yes. I want to see what offers there are, because Black Friday shopping, this is where the world's at. This is what your target market is going to be doing. So sending out those mass emails works at that instant, right? It wouldn't work, let's say, on a Monday morning to a bunch of executives that are trying to catch up with everything they're doing. And then you come in and you've blasted them with an email that talks about, I don't know, it talks about some kind of CRM you're trying to sell. Well, I don't have time for that. I'm not going to read that right now. And I don't know who you are. This is not, whoever's doing that is not staying true to their brand, is also not understanding that it takes effort. It takes effort to get to those people that are going to need to buy whatever software solution you're providing, whatever service you're providing, whatever it is. It takes effort on behalf of the customer to buy. It takes effort on behalf of the marketing department to buy. So I think whenever you're trying to set up a marketing department, always think, all right, what will it take to get the customer to say yes? And how can I build that marketing department around that? How can I set it up piece by piece? And how long is it really going to take before I could say success? Because marketing is not like so how did marketing do today? Well, it's not a daily thing. It's a long-term thing. It's reading the trends. Maybe if you didn't give up on your NFH, is it NFH? But like
it was a semi-success. Like I could tell it because like people started listing on it.
It takes time. It takes time. It takes time. What if you instead kept that channel of giving out flyers of the groceries, but changed the time? What if? So it takes time. It takes time to understand the different aspects. It takes time to understand your market. I don't know if my idea is cohesive enough, but I just think that
it is.
You need to give marketing its time. You need to let marketing into every department of the organization. You need to let marketing in. Marketing is really not just. It's not just hi, buy my product right now. Contact us for your demo today, right? It's more than that. It really is more than that. You can tell my frustration.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than that.
Seen that 1,000 times, and then never worked. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's no way to avoid it except for putting the work in. Really,
that's right. I mean, it sounds cliche, but like there is like patience and perseverance stays without going. And definitely we were learning it. We were not sure how to do it. Even now, I'm just learning it every day, Michelle. Like I'm not a scholar at this at all. I'm learning it, and what I'm seeing is like the ways of doing it. It's not like a one size fits all. It's like even with like the way Apple markets. I think here's my observation. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Apple launches its next latest, or whatever, AirPods or like the next MacBook or the iPhone or whatever, right? Yeah. Great marketing, great brand, tremendous exposure. They keynote, 1 million people watch, right? So people look at Apple ad and like they try to replicate it and it doesn't work. Zero. It lands perfectly flat, right? So that's so Apple took 40 years to build a company, right? People ignore that fact. Because like there was like they since 70s or 80s, I forget from when, but they spent like decades building a brand around it. And anyone, when you say Apple, like my son probably knows only 2 apples, right? Like the first apple he knows is probably the device, right? So
true.
No,
so true.
Yeah, I'm kidding. So I'm just saying like so. That people often ignore and forget that. So, but there was like patience that Apple built it. Like 40 years ago, maybe Apple's ad went flat. I was not there around. I don't know. So I do realize that when I see ads like that. And like, talk to me about like, in like when you spoke about there is a different way how customers engage with the businesses, right? Like in different regions. I know it's not like a single pattern, but like in general, at least like walk us through like how customers actually engage in these different markets, like from Middle East to the Chinese market and of course our North American market.
How do they engage? In what sense? Like how do they engage with the brands or?
Yeah, engage with the brand, engage with the businesses. And because like there's, this is what it takes for them to say yes, right? So each region is different, right?
Yeah. I think, so the thing is, I don't know if it's just about multicultural but also about the type of product or the type of service you're selling as well. So those two come in, those two are together, right? They're molded together, they're fused together. It's not mutually exclusive in my opinion.
Got it.
But if we're taking a look at the Middle East, let's take a look at in terms of business development perspective,
right?
In terms of building relationships,
mm-hmm.
there's a huge debate. Well, I think business development is a part of marketing, so this is why I would talk about that, because building relationships, nurturing those relationships, and seeing them through to the long run, and not just that is a big part of what marketing is about. So let's talk about, let's say, building relationships with clients in a B2B world in the Middle East versus in Canada, let's say. I would say there's a lot of dependency on who you know in the Middle East. It's a lot about who you know. It's a lot about creating that trust within the community in which you're operating. It sounds like it would be similar as well here in Edmonton, because Edmonton is very much that small, tightly knit community that also is about who you know. But I feel like over here, people are more open to exploring new things. There's how do I say this? Not exploring new things, but more like exploring new brands, exploring new alternatives. There is a lot more chance to expose those different brands, to expose those different products and services from different brands and different companies, right? As opposed to the Middle East, it's more about you have more equity if you know more people. You have more equity if you've been in the market for longer, and then trying to take that equity away. I mean, I think it's similar to North America, but there's a different nuance to it in the Middle East, where it's more of an aggressive big guys game over there, where you got to get in and you got to get in fast and you got to get in with the most connections. As opposed to here, where it's more like, I'm not sure how to say this. It's more.
Let me rephrase that question for you. Let me rephrase that. Maybe you can approach this question. Try and see that. So they always say let the free market decide, right? You have heard this phrase 1,000 times already.
Yes.
So let the free market decide. And when you let the free market actually decide, like let's say there are bigger players, like here we have like brands like RBC, Scotiabank, and you have they have the power. It's the Scotiabank arena, the RBC arena, right? You know what I'm talking about. Right? So they're the big players in our market here in Canadian market. So with Middle East, there's Aramco and so many others, Emirates and Etihad and so many other big brands. At least the few that I know. That I'm talking about, but I'm sure there are 100 others. So in each region, I'm sure, like so with ByteDance and so many others in the Chinese market, right? So there's also these startups, these hungry people who also believe that the free market works, and they put their the journey on it, they put their passion around it, and they try to go, let the free market decide, right? So it's not often right. So. And then approaching that way, because like I don't think the Scotiabank or the RBCs or the Emirates or the Etihads need help in channeling their marketing strategy. They can probably pump in $100 million and try a marketing strategy. It doesn't work. Okay, it didn't work last quarter. We're going to spend another $50 million with the new strategy, right? So it's very different.
I think there is a lot of money. There is a lot of money in the Middle East. And there is a lot of funding for the bigger companies. And those bigger companies usually have the world's, that's the thing you see in the Middle East. You have people from all around the world that have worked in the biggest of companies from all around the world that come to the Middle East and then share their expertise to build big brands like you were mentioning Emirates Airlines or the other ones. So you would have, this is the thing that I actually admire, is that they invest in the people that they bring in. They invest in the experience that these people have, and they bring them in, because the Middle East is really, especially if you're talking about the Emirates, for example, it's usually a hub for people from different cultures, various experience, various backgrounds, and a lot of them are way too qualified, right? They're fantastic, successful individuals. So when you're marketing to those people, you also have to have that same background within your company, right? So I think it's very smart to do that. It's I admire that big companies in the Middle East, they think that way. They think, how can we get the top talent from all around the world and put them in that one company so that these top talents can drive our company into growth and into gaining as much market share as possible. And they basically, they're building based on experience and based on everybody's experience, on that collective experience, right? So bringing it in, and they're putting it in. So there's a lot of research and everything that's been done as well, but
Yeah.
in their own lives, they're bringing all those experienced people, building brands around them and asking them to make us grow. And I admire that in the Middle East. But the only thing is that bigger brands that are well funded, that have the capital, that belong to very successful entrepreneurs, they make it there. What we see here in North America is that smaller brands, entrepreneurs that started small and have become huge. And that happens because there's a lot of support in the community here to help those brands grow. There's a lot of word of mouth that goes around, and word of mouth marketing is unfortunately, I don't feel like people rely on it as much anymore. Back when I was at university, word of mouth was really a big thing. It was an actual
thing,
communication channel, right?
Right.
Considered it. Right now is more like, oh, okay, what's our reputation online? Or is this going to get us more likes, engagements, views, all of that? But guys, word of mouth still matters. And I think there's a lot of it here. There's a lot of it here that's actually helping those small businesses grow. And that type of marketing is very much so prevalent in Canada, or at least for me, this is my North American experiences within Canada. So there's a lot of it that's prevalent in Canada. There's that support to offer those small businesses, to help them grow, to help their brands be more well-known, right? And then in the Middle East, it's usually harder for small businesses to grow. Because they don't, that's what I was saying in the beginning, is it's because they don't have that support, that word of mouth kind of support. Because if you don't belong to the big whale, then you're probably not going to make it immediately. You might, which is amazing, but it's a lot of being scrappy in the Middle East. And I feel like when companies tend to be scrappy, because I did work with small companies in the Middle East, right? Small, medium companies. I feel when they tend to be scrappy, they tend to cut out on marketing. The first cost is marketing's out, because I need to put more money in, I don't know, in hiring more salespeople. I need to put more money in, in I don't know, producing better, or more R&D, but no money in marketing, or just cut it off altogether, or just get somebody that will just send out messages and emails. Those emails that you get in your inbox most of the time are from people that are just like, okay, we'll just draft them. I know AI now helps a lot. It's brilliant. But
ChatGPT
right? So it's making it easier. So maybe it's even easier to cut out marketing altogether back there. But in small, medium businesses, and I feel that so much in the Middle East, is that it's a shame that when it gets hard, when it's really tough, marketing's the first to go. Where marketing should be the thing you invest in the most. Because like you said, Apple wasn't big. It wasn't born big. It wasn't established big. It became big. And I'm pretty sure this is how Steve Jobs did it, is focusing on the customer experience and innovating based on putting the customer first, right? That's how he grew. That's how him and his team made Apple grow. And that's a big part of marketing, focusing on the customer experience, focusing on innovating, by adding value to the customer experience, right? So if you cut out marketing, if Steve Jobs didn't focus on marketing from the get-go and kept funding it, and didn't, like, he literally, like, what was different in the Mac? It was the color, right? It was the color and the shape. It looked pretty. It was friendly. You wanted it.
It was the cool thing to be on an Apple device, right?
Exactly, because he understood that basic principle, which is something that if you look into it, a lot of scholars have looked into this concept where the brand is the extension of your personality, right? A brand is the extension of your personality. So you decide on what brands to wear, to eat with, to live in, like with builders and construction companies, for example, you decide whether one brand suits you better than the other. You decide because it represents you. It's an extension of you. And a lot of times you judge people, which is not a good thing to do, but you judge people a lot of the times.
All the time.
Based on what brands they're using, what brands they're doing. So this is the only thing that I find is different. Here, there is that love for marketing is still there, that appreciation for marketing is still there. And companies love, and small companies appreciate it and know that they should invest in it. I feel like in the Middle East, it's not so much.
Right.
It's still based on how much money do you have, how big can you get, and who do you know, rather than how can I use the market around me to help me grow.
Yeah. When I saw ChatGPT, I think I forget the website name. What is it called? It's chat.openai. Yeah, it's chat.openai.com. Yeah. And it was just known as ChatGPT worldwide, right? It very quickly grew. The message, I think I think it ought the when ChatGPT 3 or something that came out, I think the word spread everywhere in social media, everywhere. And 1,000 other AI companies were born. And I think I could be wrong, but like I think the OpenAI really felt the pressure, like including Sam Altman and things like that. How there is Gemini now, there is like the Facebook Meta AI, whatever, right? And now recently I saw news he went ahead to acquire chat.com, which is a 4-letter word, chat.com, literally buying a website, spending $15 million for that domain, right? I see that pressure and momentum building because like there are 1,000 other companies. What if Google's Gemini makes it bigger, right? So right. I could see that like market pressure pushing him to go acquire the chat.com site and going that path, right? So it's very interesting to see how the market was, but versus the 1,000th AI company who has probably not yet made it, it's going to find it really hard to go ahead and acquire a similar website. Absolutely. Right? So that is definitely the big boys game versus that game is always going to be there anyway. So
it's always going to be there.
It's always going to be there. So
but
it's unfortunate. Yeah. Anyway,
but it's just focus on your marketing. If you're a small company, focus on marketing. It's as important as your finances.
100%.
Honestly, it is, because if you don't do your marketing right from the get-go, if you don't establish a proper foundation, and if you think that it's just going to be it's all about just following a regular algorithm or whatever the trends are, or whatever that is, if you think that's all it is about, unfortunately, your company might not make it to the long run.
Got it.
And marketing is important.
Yeah. So we have spoken a lot about like marketing, right? Like for anyone listening, just trying to understand marketing, they don't have to go through like a 10-year course or something, but can you explain like what is marketing and like what are the core, like the pillars of quote unquote marketing? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So what is marketing? That's my favorite question, because I thought there was an answer to it until I did this. And I owe everything I know in marketing, and I owe my passion in marketing to my two supervisors at University of Lethbridge. They were fantastic, Deborah and Michael Basil. They're fantastic marketing professors. And I think in Deborah's class, the question she asked, and I think the whole class was built around it, define marketing. And honestly, by the end of the class, I remember us saying, there is no one definition for marketing.
Got it.
There isn't. You can't box marketing in. You can't box it. There's not one definition. There'll be a lot of people that tell you marketing is a lot of different things. And there'll be a lot of also theories that say, is sales a part of marketing, or is sales separate from marketing? Hey, this is the best war in any company, sales and marketing departments. But or is business development part of marketing, or is it not a part of marketing? Is marketing its own entity, or is marketing a part of the whole company? Yeah. In my opinion, and the way I would like to define marketing, is marketing is really the air. For a company. I know I'm saying this because I'm a marketer, but I believe that it's the air for a business. It's the air a business breathes. It's the atmosphere. Let's call it the atmosphere, really, because it's a part of every, I said it before, but it's a part of every department. It's a part of every professional, every single employee that's working there, every head of department. It's a part of the owner. It's a part of the founder, the partner, the manager, the whatever level you're at, whoever you are, whatever department you are, marketing is you. You make up marketing. Why is that? Because when you build a company from ground up, what are you thinking about? That's a great idea, right? I bet if I made a business out of this, I'll make so much money. That's marketing. How do you know it's a great idea? Because there's a need for it, and because I can package it in a way to sell it and make money out of it, right? And then something's happening in my background.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's like fireworks. Maybe the system agrees with me. But anyways.
Yeah, we don't have it on this platform though. But anyway, it's good. It's good. But like, yeah, applause.
I don't know what's going on, but there was like a lot of fireworks behind me. But anyways,
all good.
So it is a part. It is the atmosphere for a business. Marketing is the atmosphere within a business. It is.
Got it.
Everything. It guides the way a business operates in order for it to grow. Right? It is the engine that fuels growth, as Philip Kotler would say. He's the father of marketing. It is the engine that drives growth and innovation, right? Because it is your ear to the ground to the consumer, right?
Got it.
It is, it keeps you real. It keeps you grounded. And it also at the same time helps you dream big. So that is what marketing is. I wouldn't say it's just about finding a way to make a product sale worthy so you can make money out of it. I don't think that's the definition of it. And I like to say marketing is a theory. It's not a practice, right? There is a lot of definitions for it.
We had a beautiful conversation with Kelly, and I love his podcast and love Kelly. He's amazing. He's awesome. I love business development also, as I'm learning doing it myself. But all credits to Kelly. But leaving that aside for a moment, I have seen time and time again the aggregation of terms, especially in the corporate. Like, spend a lot of time corporate, for good or bad. I've spent it with brands, big brands, all that. Great, right? So I've seen time and time again that like terms get aggregated a lot, right? So there are 2 or 3 people or like roles getting aggregated to a larger role, right? Oh no, this role now means also the larger role. Is business development something like that? I mean, like, is it trying to aggregate sales and marketing together in a way? Does it?
Oh no. Business development, in my opinion, I'm saying, oh no, but that's completely my opinion.
Right. No, I'm just wondering.
Business development is its own thing. No, absolutely. It could be. I mean, there is a little bit of sales in it. There is a little bit of marketing in it.
Exactly.
Right? There's a little bit of, by the way, there's a little bit of finance in it. Talk to me about all the project estimates we've been doing.
Right.
Accounting. But so I think business development, in my opinion, is a little bit of everything, but it's its own thing too. It's its own thing. I don't think it aggregates sales and marketing per se on its own.
Yeah.
Because if you go into, I love business development, and I think it's 2 courses a business can take, or it could take them together, but they're never, I don't think sales and business development are ever or should ever coincide, in my opinion. Now,
why
maybe one day I will work in a company where I say, no, this has got to happen. But so far, and in my opinion, they can't coincide. Sales is very, very much transactional.
Got it.
Business development is very much about building relationships. And there might not be a transaction at the end of it. That's the thing. I might form such a great relationship and such a great partnership with another company in the industry or across another industry, a parallel industry maybe. I might form that relationship, work on it, nurture it, build it, but with no transactional end in sight.
Got it.
But there's a lot of value that comes out of this relationship that actually I could put back into my business and make it grow. Right. Or into the business that I'm actually working for. Right. So, and that's how we look at it at Fabled Solutions. And that's why I love working with Drew and Nathan, is that they understand that. They understand that it's not about sales. It's about building relationships. And it's also been drilled into me since I joined them. Michelle, we don't want to be transactional. We don't want that sales mentality. We don't, this is not a part of, we don't want it to be a part of our brand. And I agree with them. We just want to build relationships, just genuine relationships. And we don't care about what comes out of them. And that is the biggest thing. And I think that's where business development, if done right,
Right.
is that don't think about it as a transaction. It's not a transaction. Business development is just about building relationships and making connections, because through that you grow as an individual and the business you work for grows, or the business you own grows.
Got it. No, I'm just, as you were talking about it, I was thinking maybe it's a third pillar besides sales and marketing, because a company needs relationship, not just with maybe a future customer 2 years down the line or a year down the line. You never know. So you are trying to build that relationship. So besides sales and marketing being their own pillars, like business, a relationship building, customer relationship could be its own thing, right? And business development probably packages all this together with finances and everything that under the umbrella.
I like that idea, actually. That's so true. Yeah. It maybe business development. I like what you're saying. Maybe business development and sales shouldn't be under one department, but they could absolutely be their two different departments serving their own purpose.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying. I agree with that. That's, I think, awesome.
Yeah. No, these are I'm just trying to observations from
absolutely
from the market. Michelle, that being said, I mean, I often hear that some of the best marketers in the world are also moms, right? So you're also a mother, right?
That's so true.
Yeah. I took this quote I liked, and
where'd you get that?
Let me read it for you. So marketing is not just about selling products; it's about telling a story, and no one does that better than my mom. Her ability to make my feel part of a story is her true gift. I mean, I saw this quote, I took it, and kept it.
So true. I was talking to that with my husband yesterday. I said, what, wives and moms, no matter if people that live with a partner and have kids, right?
Yeah. Right.
I think they make the best marketers in the world, because how many times do you have to research to figure out what the people you live with like, so that you can actually package whatever you're cooking, whatever you're going to dress them up in, whatever you're going to do for the weekend or even for the vacation, and make it look great so you can sell it to them and they can say, yes, we're sold, right? I mean, how many times do I have to adjust? I mean, you're a marketer, but you're also a salesperson, but you're also you're constantly coming up with, I think a mom could beat, let's say this, I think a mom could beat ChatGPT, or a parent, let's say. A parent can beat ChatGPT at the amount of pitches it can generate in a day.
Right.
Because, I mean, try to wake your kid up in the morning and convince them it's time to go to school, it's time to get dressed, and when you come back, it's time to eat, and you're going to eat this meal, and you're going to have it at this time, and you're going to stop screen time, and you're going to do some homework. Try to convince them. How many different pitches do you come up with? So I agree with it. Absolutely.
So I love that, actually, because it's busy day after day, and I've seen it, my mom with my wife, and she's a great marketer too, and sometimes I take her tips when I'm sometimes trying my hands on cooking and things like that. But she says try using your marketing skills from kitchen to your business. It might work. So.
Yes,
I mean,
it might, because look, there's this one thing that I feel has helped me a lot when I do my work. And it's what my mom used to tell me. She's I told her once, she's a stay-at-home mom. I was like, don't you get bored? Do you ever feel like you want to do something else? You're always taking care of us. You're always tired. She gives her all. And being a stay-at-home mom is a full-time job. It's a full-time job that should definitely be paid for. So I asked her that, and I said, how? I mean, you're not paid for it. I feel like you're underappreciated. Do you ever get bored, upset, sad, frustrated with everything? She's like, no, because always remember to do what you do with love and care. And when you put love and care in what you do, then you do it very well. And so you can take that from parents, you can take that from stay-at-home parents, and you can apply it to your work. It's so true. Do what you do with love and care. How many times do you have to repeat a recipe until you can say you're an expert at it? But then you become an expert at it, but there are still times where you mess it up. and you have to pick it
Right.
up and try again. Or you're
Right.
going to have to like add more salt, squeeze a little bit of lemon, fix it,
Yeah.
adjust it, you know, to make it better. I think it applies to business. So your wife is absolutely correct. She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah. She knows what she's talking about. She's way smarter than me, and I think she's a fantastic wife. And I disagree with her on the moment, but we end up agreeing to her and finally, so that she knows I'm going to agree to her anyway. So that's how it works. And you know what, you're laughing. You know what I mean by that. So
it counts.
It's always there. So how was it like being like brand marketer and also a wife and a mom? How is that experience working out for you?
It's challenging. I would have to say this is where working in different countries is different.
Right.
To be in the Middle East and be interviewed at some points in time and being told, do you have a nanny? Because if you don't have a nanny, you're going to take so many sick days and you won't be able to come and do your job properly. I'm like,
Right.
I don't look at it this way. I suffice to say, I did not take that job or even work with these people.
Right.
No value alignment there. But then when you come to Canada, and now the Middle East is changing. I'm not going to say this is the way it is all over the place, but there is a general support for being a working mom in Canada that I very much appreciate. And the fact that the people, especially with Drew and Nathan, for example, especially being part of Fabled Solutions, you have a life, you have kids that need you, that will get sick. You need to be there, because when you give your all to your house, you can give your all to your work. I'm saying house is in my home, my family, my kids. Knowing that I could actually, if my kid got sick, I can have him sit in on meetings sometimes with me. He's not, he's got a lot of opinions, but knowing that I could have him sit on my lap and I could finish off my work, or knowing that, oh, it's okay. You have to like step away right now because you need to be a mom, because that's where you're needed right now, because that's what makes you a better employee. That makes me want to come to work and work harder.
Right.
And I feel like it's not very, you don't see it often in the Middle East. There's not a lot of support for working moms. I feel like this country has gone a long way in making sure that mothers are able to go out there and work, and they're supported and they're not judged for being moms. It's very hard, especially with marketing, because marketing is not the type of job where you could turn it off, where you're like, okay, I did what I got to do on the line, for example, and I'm out. Yeah. It's more the type of job that requires you to be there all the time, because you got to understand the market all the time. You got to feel, you got to feel what's going on all the time. You got to be all on and all aware all the time. So I feel like it's hard to be a marketer and a mom, but be working in a space that doesn't support you or isn't flexible enough for you to be able to do it properly to the full extent.
Got it. No, I was just trying to get a video for us to show, and maybe my next question will be based on that. Let me try sharing my screen for a second, and let's see if it works or not. Let me know if you see my screen. Okay.
Okay.
You do?
Yeah. Neom.
There's Oxygon. Your skis when you visit. Or a ski, the shape of, well, a line. No roads, cars, or emissions. And everything its 9 million residents could ever need within a 5-minute walk. But best of all, the entire region will offer unparalleled access to nature and will be powered by clean energy.
Right. So I'm not sure maybe you didn't get the audio. I'm not sure. I should have got the action. You got the audio?
I got the audio. Okay. I got the audio.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Great. I'll try to actually clip it in. So that's so Neom. Like, what are your thoughts about it? I think it's the vision and all of it. It's like it's very different, very unique, very forward thinking, and especially when we're talking about the Middle East and then the culture. I can see the culture shift actually in real time happening with Saudi. It's a very conservative country, and I can see that the market is actually shifting towards a more futuristic approach with everything, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're embracing innovation. I think Neom is a fantastic project. It's almost like a dream when you listen to all the ads for Neom, and when you hear all about it, you're like, oh my God, is this actually happening? Is there somebody that's capable of creating such a, like, the line is amazing. But then I've also watched a documentary about Neom and about how they've really invested in bringing experts from all around the world and to place them in that company to make sure that they get the best of everything. They get the best. So they're more into, how do I say this? I think what they've done by bringing in all these experts and having a well-rounded look and view into executing their project is brilliant. I wish I could find that documentary myself to show you, but they've brought people that are designers, they've brought engineers, and they've put different how do you say this? Different backgrounds, educational backgrounds, occupational backgrounds. They've put them all in the same room and asked them to come up with this concept, which I think is fantastic, because you're not saying, oh, it's an engineering project, it's got to belong to just a structural engineer or a civil engineer or whatever kind of engineer.
Right.
I think it's brilliant. I think the way Saudi Arabia is moving forward and how it's opening up and trying to, how do I say this? Have its arms wide open for the future, and how it's investing in its own growth and in its innovation. I think it's a brilliant move, and I think it's so well done. So it's exciting. I can only imagine the people working there and what it would be like for them.
Got it. So just wanted to get your thoughts, because obviously you've been in that region, and that region is transforming, and I'm excited about it. It's a 100-mile or 100-kilometer. They're just going to create a straight line, right? So
it's insane.
I've never seen anything like that.
A vertical city.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes to show. I mean, yes, sure, I did say maybe the Middle East doesn't offer I didn't have the greatest experience as a working mom in the Middle East. But if you take a look at all the brilliant minds in the Middle East that gather, and the way they use that money, the way the Gulf region, for example, in terms of Saudi Arabia or even Qatar or even United Arab Emirates, if you look at how they've used their money to advance their culture, to advance their countries, to advance and basically put themselves as leaders in the world, is just brilliant. I mean, I think if you really look into the intricacies of how these countries are evolving, especially how Saudi Arabia is making that big transformation, you could make a big case study on how a country as a whole could embrace innovation and prosper from it. And just being in the middle of it, we've been in the middle of so many of those changes, given that my dad did what he did. So we've been in a lot of the countries where we've seen how they've blossomed and bloomed in the Middle East, right? And you can tell that it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of sticking to it. And I admire that about the Middle East. I think there's a lot of scrappiness in the Middle East on the grand scale. They want something, they want that vision, they'll go and get it done. And that is by leading by example. And that whole thing about hiring people that are smarter than you, they know how to do that in the Middle East. They know how to hire people that are smarter to get them something that is way bigger, right?
Right. It's definitely a fantastic expat location, and people are excited about it. I'm seeing people moving to the Middle East, not just like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or Qatar, or Doha, right? So, and I was happy to see that in San Salvador, which is El Salvador, right? So when they're trying to transform the country also, I think the word they used was like, we are trying to create the next Dubai of Latin America. I mean, that itself speaks a lot, right? So, right? Because Dubai has proven itself to be like a great, attractive location for the investors and the business entrepreneurs, right? So to phrase it like the next Dubai of Latin America, right? So that is fantastic. What would you?
Know what they're doing.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think these countries know what they're doing. They really know what they're doing. They're doing it right.
Got it. So, what would you say or an advice for an aspiring marketer who's just getting started on their journey? How would you talk to them? What would you say? What are the few words that you could say to encourage them on their journey?
There's one thing I remember back to my master's experience, and we were talking about that the other day too. There was one thing that was said, that if you wanted to make a difference, do your PhD and become a scholar, because that is where you would be able to make the most difference. It wasn't the path I wanted to take. So when I went back to my supervisors, I went back to Deborah and Michael, and I talked to them about it. And they said, you could make a difference by doing good in the companies that you're working in.
Right.
And you could bring in the power of research, the power of data to change the way that marketing is viewed, right? And the way that marketing is used. And so to every marketer that's just starting their career path, I say, work with a company that wants to do good, that has good engraved in its core values. Work with a company that appreciates social marketing, corporate social responsibility. It is very important, because marketing is viewed as something that is unethical at times, because all you got to do is just kind of figure out a way to make people sell by, how do I get them to buy this? What do I got to say? I'll say whatever it is. So make sure that you're working with a company that has those good values. And at the same time, you have the power to shape the brand. You have the power to shape the message of the brand, right? So use that power. Don't just fall for trends and what's hip and happening. Make sure you do your research. You build a marketing department from the ground up, and you are part of that, and you become part of that foundation, right?
Got it.
Don't walk into a company thinking that all is expected of you is to turn immediate sales. Walk into a company and show them what marketing is about. Right? Show them that marketing is about doing the research, making a difference, making change, and you can actually do good with it, right?
Got it.
Don't fall for trends.
What should be the talking points for a marketer or a marketing team to the CEO? Listen, look. So what would be their talking points?
Give me your money. Spend money on marketing. What?
Because it's mostly like points? Many organizations are slightly top down. I know it. So what should be the way to convince the CEO? Hey, listen, leader. We understand your vision. Let's do the market research, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying, because I've been there several times, and I've been turned down several times. I've been told to go back to your place, but I've also working with Nathan and Drew, who are complete opposite of this. And so if you don't know, if you've got a Nathan and Drew who are very responsive to what is it that marketing needs, how do we do it the right way? Let's do it. If you're working with somebody that probably is hesitant about marketing, I would say always approach with data. Right? Always find that role model competitor. And I always encourage companies to look at role model competitors as something that is bigger than life, right? To them, to the industry that they're in, right? Find your role model competitor. Look at what they've done right. Get that research done in terms of what have they done right? What seems to be their marketing strategy? What is their communication strategy? How have they executed on it? What are the successes and what are the failures? Take that data from the competitor, right? From your role model competitor, put it down, take data from other companies, right? In the industry, see what they've done right, see what they've done wrong, keep an eye out, and go to the CEO, go to the person that's in charge of giving your department funding and tell them, this is what's happened, but this is how long it took for it to happen too. Because marketing isn't, like I said, marketing isn't a thing that, okay, I paid for this campaign, now show me the results. And I think poor marketing agencies are really trapped into this. Show us what you've done after 3 months.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
use it, right? Use that data, use everything. And in that data, make sure that there's that time frame. Look at where they started. Look at how long it took for them to get there. Do your research.
Yeah.
Take that
Got
data,
it.
present it to your CEO,
Yeah.
or your your supervisor, or whoever's responsible to give you that budget, and tell them, this is what needs to be done, and it's going to take time, and I need you to trust me. But I also think that companies need to hire marketers or marketing agencies they trust.
Right.
That have that alignment, that are not just in it to win it and in for the short-term gains. There's a lot of those. So it's also not just on marketers, it's also on company owners,
100%.
on C-levels, to make sure that they hire the right marketing talent. Right.
Yeah. No, when you started talking about it, it just triggered me a different question in terms of like, you've seen it, I've seen it. Like, I'm sure you'll agree, because there's a lot of effort spent in like showing what you did. Okay, show me what you did last 3 months. Show me what you did last 6 months, right? And even aside marketing, even in the technology space that I'm in, like I've seen it time and time again. Okay, fine, we have spent 3 months, and they come back with a beautiful 84-page specification document that lands nowhere, right? I mean, it doesn't help the customer, or it doesn't help the company, except, okay, we spent like $7.5 million. Okay, what did we get? An 84-page specification document, right? Unlike, when marketers are approaching a market, let's say they're planning to spend like $5 million on a region, or $2 million on this region, right? Are there any ways, like in the design world, in the construction world, they have like this AutoCAD 3D design way where they can actually visualize the building or the architecture before how it looks, because they're going to spend $100 million building a Hilton hotel or whatever, right? So similarly for marketing, is there a way to visualize before putting that $5 million? Is there a way to intelligent tools to help analyze it? Michelle, any tips on that?
I don't know if there are any intelligent tools that are there to actually. I would love those tools that will actually tell you this
It'll
is
be amazing, right? It's a brand new business idea.
This is a foolproof plan. This is a foolproof plan for a marketing strategy. I think if that were the case, I think
it may not be foolproof, but at least like a it may not be foolproof, but it's like a visual way of like, this potential result, right? Yeah.
The thing is. When you're talking about AutoCAD, right? You do the model in AutoCAD, and then they know that this is how they've got to scale it, and this is how they've got to build it.
Correct.
That is science, pure science, very objective.
Correct.
There's math, there's physics, there's everything involved in there, right? But when 100%. You're talking about marketing, you're talking about working with human 100%. Beings, and they are very much abstract, intangible, and unpredictable.
So, and we are very complicated. Sorry.
We are really complicated. That's why when you're going to study marketing, you're studying psychology with marketing. You're studying organizational behavior. You're studying philosophy. When I saw those different courses that we had to look into, I was like, why are we doing those? Like, what do these have to do with anything? But it turns out it's because we're working with people. There's no sure way for a company to say, this is the $5 million. It's going to go there, and it's going to yield returns for sure. There's no for sure. There is a degree in which you could find success. And the closest thing to a foolproof method is knowing your target market and working towards it. Right?
Got it.
Making sure that your advertising, your marketing efforts, your campaigns, your business development, your everything is going towards that target market. Right? It's very rare for you to market to the general public. It's very rare for you to be just throwing a rock in the middle of nowhere and then hoping to God it lands.
100%.
That's what targeting to the general public is. What you have to know with marketing is that it's so unpredictable. But the best way to make it as close to predictable as possible is to know your target market and target it. And as much as possible, try to target it. But it's also a lot of trial and error too. That's why there's A/B testing. There's a lot of experimenting that goes around marketing to figure out, is this a successful tactic? Or is this not a successful tactic? And that needs to be worked into your marketing strategy as well. It needs to be worked into your marketing strategy for sure. I think people don't work it into their marketing strategy, that there's a degree of failure. There's a degree of uncertainty. Know it when you're writing your strategy. There's a degree of uncertainty there. We're working with people, and people might wake up one day and decide, you're a no-go for me. I don't like that brand anymore. It's out, canceled. Right? So that's what I got to say. Know your target market.
100%. Obviously, just like like moving into a different beyond marketing, and I think you have also traveled a lot. You've traveled like recently to Egypt and so many other places. You have met so many people across cultures and things like that. I'd love to go see the pyramids one day, like I was saying.
Oh, they're beautiful. You never tire of them. I've seen them so many times. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, I want to see them. So obviously you've met so many people, cultures, and you've traveled a lot. So how does, what kind of like inspiration that brings back, or the lessons that you've learned across meeting people from cultures, in like back to your life, your journey, and your career? What impact has it made on the person you, Michelle?
I think meeting people from different cultures has made me a better person, has made me a more open person, has made me a more well-rounded person. I think to be a great global marketer, maybe, or to be a marketer in general, you have to have a certain degree of openness to other cultures. There's beauty in every culture. Right. And there is different ways of thinking, different ways of solving problems. I mean, you'll learn that from going to Egypt and looking at their history, for example. I mean, like there's a lot to learn from there and about how they approached problem solving back then. Right. You learn a lot about different cultures. And each culture has its advantages, has its own special way of approaching problems, of dealing with diversity, of facing challenges. And when you learn that, when you're open to it, when you see that there's more than one way to get to a certain point, I feel that makes you a better person. There's one thing I always love, and I keep trying to figure out how to say this, but have you watched Aladdin with your kids by any chance?
I have watched Aladdin, but not with my kid yet. But I know the mat that the genie and the mat. Yeah.
So I love Aladdin, but here's what I recently figured out: that genie is a marketing genius.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I was watching it the other day with my child, and then I look at Genie. Remember how with the first time Aladdin discovers the lamp, and then he tells Genie that he wants to be a prince so that it could, so that he could fall in love with Jasmine and they can have their happily ever after. And he says, okay, I'll make you a prince. To make you a prince, you got to get introduced like a prince. And then he does the whole charade of making sure that the new brand, Prince Aladdin, not the king, not the thief Aladdin, the Prince Aladdin, the new brand, let's call it. He wants to make sure that the new brand is introduced. He builds a whole hubbub around it. So he gets him the elephants, he gets him the bands, the big celebration, he gets him the whole thing. But then how does he communicate that Aladdin is a prince? That's the big thing. Go back to that scene and you'll see that Genie turns into shapeshifts, I guess. I can't remember into what, but he communicates to the kids and he turns into a little kid and communicates to kids and talks in their language and says, hey, did you know about the new prince? And then he goes to the market people and he talks to and he turns into a market person as well and talks to them and says, hey, did you hear about the new prince? And then becomes one of the guards and goes and talks to one of the guards and says, hey, did you hear about the new prince? This is marketing. This is it. Yeah. You are turning into your target market, right?
Yeah.
You're turning into your target market to get the point across. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
He's communicating to them in their own language. And that's what you got to
it.
do across cultures as well.
Got it. I didn't plan this question, but I think I just like, as in our conversation, I just got, I mean, that's how the conversation goes, right? Because like, I try to come up with few questions, and then I always like, okay, I traveled with the conversation, right? So give us like funny, interesting words, since you speak more than 100 languages now. So give us funny, interesting,
hardly.
give us some funny words that you find fascinating. I want one in Arabic, one in French, and one in Mandarin. So go with it.
Oh, in Mandarin, very hard. I don't think I will be able to pronounce it.
Let's try Arabic.
I think whoever's listening to me talking in Mandarin will consider it funny without me saying anything funny.
The only thing I know, I don't even. Sorry, go ahead.
I remember going to the fish market in Tianjin and saying "Qing Liu Yuan," and then the person looks at me, he's like, what on earth are you saying? I'm like, I'm saying the words that were written by my teacher on this paper. Qing Li Yuan. And he's like, huh? Like, what are you saying? Because you got to sing it. You got it. There's a certain tonation, right, to Mandarin, and I could never get it right. So, but and a word in Arabic that is funny, I don't know, like
anything that you find fascinating that you don't find in English or otherwise, right? So it makes more sense in that language, right? Yeah, Arabic. Like, Habibi, I don't know. I've heard the word Habibi.
Oh, I mean, you know the thing about Habibi, we use it for literally everything. Like we use it when we're angry. We're like, Habibi Shram Tamo, like what are you doing? Or we use it when we're very loving and caring, Habibi, you know? Or like when we're feeling bad for someone, oh, Habibi, right? And so this is interesting about the word Habibi when it actually means my love, but the way you use it is actually very different.
Contextual.
Yes, it is. And then you've got like yalla, which is very famous as well. Or like yalla, 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 if you want to rush someone or get them to go somewhere or agree. You can even agree by saying yalla. Yalla. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Let's go,
right? There you go.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of like cultural Arabic thing. And I think, I don't know about French, something funny in French. I'm not sure. Like there's one thing that I remember. I was at a French school. So I went to a French school when I was in Saudi Arabia when I was living there.
Right.
And I remember, and it's a thing. It's another cultural thing is that they were French and I didn't speak much French. Like I spoke French with whatever accent that I had like growing, and because in Lebanon we speak 3 languages, there's French, English, and Arabic, right? So whatever accent I had, that's what I had. I didn't have the Parisian accent. So I remember the teacher saying what I don't know how to say it, like we, but she says it like what, and then everyone was like, everybody at the count of 3 say oui ou non, and then I was like okay, I'm gonna say it with her accent. I'm going to be just like her. And I was like, what? Right? Because we in like French is like, if you want to say, I don't know how, but like, it's like, what? Right? And I was like, what? Really loud. And then I got told off for it. She's like, that's not how we say it. Really loud right at me. So yeah, it takes a lot of guts to speak a language that you're not used to speaking. That's what I gotta say. I mean, whether it's in China in the market where I got laughed at for saying something that I thought made sense didn't, or even in class at a French school.
Right.
So yeah.
I was so intimidated when I was in Colombia, like 6 months ago or something. I was there. I don't speak Spanish, obviously, except few words, como estás, like, and things like that, right? I don't speak the language, and like I get intimidated, like as soon as you get on the elevator, as soon as you see someone, like, okay, buenos dias. Okay, what is buenos dias? Like good day, right? So have a good day, something like that. I spent about a week there because there was this conference and things like that. So the next time I got on the elevator, I started saying, yeah, buenos dias, and like you got to say it. Because like it's like they're wishing you well and like you got to wish them back. So
you got to immerse yourself in the culture. Yeah,
I know. No, very very beautiful people, very humble people. Like I love cultures. I love like not just the diversity part. My way of going about people is I think human beings are generally good and they're more good than they actually think. People love people more than they think actually. So and then one example I often talk about is like how often do we like to go and have a meal with strangers, and that place is called a restaurant, right? So we don't think about it, but we don't go to a takeout place like a Domino's or a Pizza Hut, but we like to go to a restaurant that is like filled with people, right? So that's people
so
love
true.
People. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're not meant to live alone is what I often hear.
Humanity's worth it. Yeah.
Humanity is, and we're innately good.
I know we are. Michelle, I think that brings us to the close. And before we close, I have a quick rapid fire questions. You can probably say a few words or a short phrase, or if you want to explain, go for it. But just quick, fun questions to just learn a little bit more about you for anyone listening. Right. Okay. So you have traveled a lot. Like, what's your favorite cuisine from the countries you have worked in? Like top three.
Worked in, not traveled to.
Favorite cuisines that you have traveled in, like doesn't matter, like wherever you have any favorite cuisines.
My favorite cuisine's Thai.
There you go.
I love Thai food.
Got it. What is that one item that you always pack for an international travel?
Oh.
That one thing you got to have it. I mean, cell phones, of course, we get it, but like, what is that one thing you got to have it?
Yeah.
No, we understand that. Like, what is that one thing that you got? No,
must take it everywhere with me. Right? Yeah. Oh my! I never thought of it.
Maybe your bag, or I don't know.
I guess it would be a book. Definitely would be a book. Yeah, that's definitely something I always carry with me, and you never know because you might not have internet, you might not have anything. You always have a book to read. Got it.
And what's your favorite book or movie that you would recommend anyone reading?
Oh, my favorite book. Oh my gosh, my favorite book is The Zahir by Paulo Coelho. By far, my favorite book. There's a lot of lessons in there. And what's my favorite movie? Oh no, I'm gonna sound so cliche.
Aladdin.
No, actually, well, it could be. All Disney movies are my favorite movies. But yeah, my favorite movie is What Women Want.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. That's great. And what kind of are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, it depends on what my kids dictate these days. So it's all depending on them, but I think I'm more of a morning person.
Got it. So this is you might like it. I mean, what's the favorite marketing campaign that you wish you worked on?
Oh, good question. My favorite marketing campaign would be the Christian Dior perfume ad, the J'adore by Dior. That one is my favorite marketing campaign. There's a lot of work that went into there into finding the right representation for the brand and what the bottle's shaped like and all that. I think that by far is my favorite marketing campaign. Got
it. One thing that you can't start your day without. I don't know. Are you like a coffee or something? Or what is that one thing that you got to have in your day?
Okay. Now it's got to be public information. Okay. So it's coffee and an episode of Friends.
Yeah. You watch an entire episode every day?
I love Friends. Yeah. Well, not an entire episode every day. I actually even this is how I wake up. But for me, it's not even just an entire episode. It might go through the whole series through my day. People listen to music to work. I like to listen to Friends.
Yeah. No, I remember when we were married, I think we started Friends and we couldn't stop watching it. And we binge watched it for I think 3 months or something. We would watch it. We'd start let's start with one episode. It never stops with one episode, right? It's you gotta binge watch at least 3 or 4 before you stop it. So
totally, you can't. It's just so easygoing. Talk about product placement in Friends too. Brilliant.
Oh yeah. Fantastic. What's your guilty pleasure snack, especially while working?
Okay. Sour Patch Kids.
There you go.
Sour Patch Kids. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I can go through a bag full of those.
Yeah, you can. Okay. What's the most unexpected thing you have learned while living abroad?
Um, it's never what it seems. It's never what it seems in terms of when you're communicating with others. Language barriers go a long way. So always ask, always try to understand if the way you perceived or understood what is being said to you is what is really meant to be said.
Got it. If you weren't in marketing as your career, what other career choices you would have made? Like, you can give more than one or two. Yeah.
I really wanted to be a doctor. I really wanted to be a pediatrician.
Did you?
And then I realized I'll have to actually see blood and actually deal with it. And I can't. I faint when I see blood. So I'm like, okay, that's out the window.
You do too?
And then I can't. Okay. You too?
No, I throw up when I see blood. I cannot stand blood. No.
Yeah. I can't either. And I'm like, okay, that's a career I can't pursue. And then there is actually being a lawyer. I would have loved to be a lawyer, but it wouldn't have allowed me to travel everywhere. So that's one of the reasons I didn't think about it.
Got it. Mountains or beaches?
Beaches. Please, beaches. Sun.
Got it. Sun. Yeah, that's the way to go. Yeah. Yeah, I wish we had more beaches in Edmonton, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's the beauty of Lebanon too. You got the mountains and the beaches, and they're only an hour apart. So
yeah, lovely. What is that one app that you can't live without?
Any Fabled Solutions app. I'm just kidding. What is the one app I can't live without? I don't know. Like what? Like here, let me see. Okay, it's Pinterest.
Pinterest? Okay, good. What's special about it? I haven't used Pinterest at all. Like, is it? It's all about like
I love
like
it.
Recipe or like locations.
Yes,
what is special about it?
Everything. I like it because it's like this is a bad way to describe it, but it's like Google in pictures. And
got it.
I don't like how it's got more ads now, but it's your go-to source for everything and anything. And then you can make your little boards and collect your recipes and then collect your favorite, like, I don't know, like fashion trends. You could collect your favorite ideas for birthdays, and everybody's just sharing everything. And it's all there. Yeah. There's a lot of peace and love on Pinterest. And
got
sharing.
it. No, I think that's a beautiful way to also like understand what's going on with the market and understand brands, right? Because it's continuous like, stream of pictures. I haven't used Pinterest at all, but like from when you're describing it, that's okay. It's a wonderful way to learn.
To be a great marketer, you got to be a great consumer. So absolutely,
100%. What is a fun fact about you that most people do not know, or at least yet?
Fun fact about me. Oh my gosh. I don't know. What's a fun fact about me? Oh, yes, I played in the basketball varsity team. I was actually, and if you know me, I'm very short. And I was their point maker. So yeah, and I used to travel around with them. It was at school. But I think that's a fun fact because you would never think I would be a basketball player ever.
Oh, you are.
With how short I am.
There you go. It's a surprise after surprise. My wife plays. She said she played basketball. Like I knew much later after we got married, but like she played basketball as well. So wonderful.
Is she also my height?
Yeah, y'all are like different heights, but at the same time you have like greater aspirations. So you all are good. What is your favorite way to unwind after a busy day?
Oh, okay. I love coloring.
You do? Okay.
I love coloring. So just coloring books, and eating.
That calms you down, actually, like having a good meal. Like,
it's not psychologically healthy. Maybe these days they say it's not so good too, but I like it. A good bowl of popcorn.
What is that dish? What is that dish? I forget the name. I love it. It's made of like chickpea. A Middle Eastern dish. What is it called?
Hummus?
It's hummus. Yeah, there you go. Like
hummus is good. Yeah. One day we'll make some hummus.
It's lovely. I love hummus. If you could, probably the last question for today.
Sure.
If you could have dinner with one person that you aspire, or a global leader, or anyone, who would it be?
Definitely Gordon Ramsay. Definitely Gordon Ramsay. I love his business sense. I love his sense of discipline as well. And I think he's a talented cook, and I wish I could be as a talented cook. I love food and cooking and everything about it. So I would love to sit down with him and have dinner with him.
Got it. Michelle, it was an honor. It was a pleasure, absolute pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. It was so fun to talk to you today. Thank you so much for doing this, and for anyone who has to reach out to you to like have a conversation. What is the best way to connect with you?
I think LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so
got it.
Absolutely, anytime.
Got it.
And
thank you so much
for having me, Vijay. It was awesome.
No, I enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Michelle. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care.